This is another episode of me documenting the day-to-day process that I am taking to achieve long-term consistency in the financial markets. And today is not going to be your typical video because today is not a daily breakdown. It's Saturday, the market's closed. So what do we do when the market is closed? We review the week and we look at where did we go wrong and what can we do to get better. So if I have the worst week of trading that I've had in a really long time in front of me, that means there's a lot of value in those mistakes, in those failures that I can go back in and extract and then use that to tell me what I can do next to become a better trader. That's the mindset that I'm maintaining when I have bad weeks like this. So this month overall has just been absolutely terrible for me. I'm down 5R. I have a 0% win rate this week. I did not take one winning setup. I didn't take one winning setup. So why is that? Well, if you've been keeping up with my videos recently, you know that I came across a crossroads in my life and I had to make an extreme decision that basically determines how my life is going to play out. In the near term, at least. I was getting kicked out of my grandparents' house, which I had the choice to either, number one, move back home, which I am right now, or number two, get an apartment and start fending for myself. Now, in the past, I've known that living at home, I built mental mountains and barriers that just destroyed my trading performance because I put it on a timeline. When you give yourself a timeline to make trading work, it just does not work. You put so much stress and so much pressure on you, and the decisions that you make intraday are going to be based on, I need to make money right now. So I already made the mistake of putting all this pressure on myself to make money in the market right now. And so if I were to get an apartment, I'd basically be making that same mistake. So I felt like it would be foolish to go out and get an apartment just for the sake of getting away from home because I've already learned that mistake in the past, right? So here I am back at home. And I believe that's also a big reason for my trading performance this week because once we dive into the weekly review, you're going to see that I was weighed down mentally a lot. And you can see that in my trading recaps and my daily data. So let's go ahead and just touch on that point real quick and scroll through each day. So I like to go to, and this is TradeZella. By the way, I get a lot of comments that ask what software this is. Let's go to the notebook. Let's go to the daily notebook, daily journal. You can come in here and just log each and every trading day. So that's what I do. And after I log each and every trading day, I use a template that I fill out and I call it daily data. Because this is going to give me the data that I need when I go back and review at the end of the week. That's going to tell me exactly where I went wrong that trading day. So as we review each trading day, I'm going to be able to show you guys exactly where I went wrong. And that's the whole point of collecting this data. You need to have a process of data collection so you can figure out where you're going right, where you're going wrong, and what you can do in order to get better. So this is Tuesday, August 12th. I want to touch on that point that I mentioned. I think it started to arrive on Wednesday. So if we go to Wednesday, you can see that I think Thursday and Friday is really when I started to feel it. So I'm getting really pissed the fuck off and stressed the fuck out from the market and trading. And if we go to Friday, similar thing, right? I'm so down bad mentally. Every little thing the market does that is not what I want to do drives me crazy and pisses me off. I feel like a victim and think negatively. Instead of finding a way to deal with the situation, I continue to think negatively and feel victimized. Therefore, I continue to get negative results. I sit here unable to focus and tired, just drifting my mind and feeling frustrated. So what was happening is that I had that decision outside of the market, right? An external influence on my trading where I sat in a state of indecision because I couldn't decide if I should move home or get an apartment. And that indecision literally tore me apart mentally. So the first thing that falls is number one, your mindset. There's 4 pillars of man, right? You have mindset, habit, nutrition, and training. But it all starts with mindset. Your habits are built on your mindset, a strong mindset, an iron mind. Your nutrition is going to be kept in place by your good habits. You're going to stick to a good diet, eat good quality foods because you have proper habits. And then your training is going to follow as a result. So everything is built off of and centered on your mindset. If your mindset starts to fall, and if you allow the devil to take control of your mind, because that's essentially what it is, there's a positive and a negative to everything, right? The negative side of everything is simply the devil. And if you think of that way, and you have negative thoughts coming into your mind, you're easily able to recognize and bring awareness to that and be like, I need to shoot that down. That is not even my thought, you know? So, as negative thoughts continue to accumulate and accumulate and accumulate, eventually it consumes you, and now you're just starting to it bleeds out into every other area of your life. So the first thing that falls is your mindset. Once my mindset began to fall, I could feel that in my trading, and that starts to make me feel like this, like I'm so down bad mentally. Every little thing the market does is not what I wanted to do, drives me crazy. And Thursday and Friday is when it really, really started to hit. And then Friday, eventually, I cracked. I packed up everything. I left my grandparents and I moved home. And that's why I'm home right here, right now. So let's take a look at the session recap and the process that I'm using for that. So you can just go in here and log the session. I logged this week from the 11th through the 15th. And then the first thing that I like to touch on is my performance stats. So obviously, not ideal. What are the red flags? Everything. What do I even say about this? I failed to deliver a single winning trade this week. Why is that? Could be widely influenced by the situation going on externally from the market. Think about it. As soon as I had the idea of getting an apartment, I thought to attempt an eval. This brings me to my next point. When there's something going on outside of the markets that makes you want to make money trading, then that makes you skip steps in the process, because now you're not worried about doing what you know you need to be doing and following a process and just focusing on that because you know that's what's going to yield you the money in the long run. Now you're trying to jump the gun and just go straight to the outcome that you're looking for, which is making money, correct? So when you do that, you skip all the steps, you disregard the process, and you're looking for just solely the outcome. When you're focused on solely the outcome, it just does not work. And that's what I did when I lived here a couple of months ago. Was I put a timeline on myself that put so much pressure on myself to make money as soon as I possibly could that I skipped the process and I skipped a lot of steps. I skipped a lot of the things that I was doing right, and I tried to look for the outcome only. And that is where I went wrong, and that put me in a cycle where I was just repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again. So obviously I can't make that mistake again. It's good to just keep the pressure off of you while you're trying to learn your model, get good at your model, get good as the operator of your model, and figure out exactly what it is you're trying to do, which is where I'm at right now. So as soon as I had the idea of getting an apartment, I thought to attempt an eval, which meant, okay, if I get an apartment, I have to start fending myself, which means I have to pay my rent. If I have to pay my rent, I have to make money. How am I going to make money? From trading. So if I do that, I need to start making money right now. So I need to attempt an eval right now, even though I know that I'm not ready. See how it makes you skip steps? And I'm starting to realize these things and the pressure that it's putting on me. And I know that the best move for me is probably just to go back home. So next thing I realize is market approach. So I like to get an assessment on my accuracy. 2 out of 4 days I was incorrect in my bias. 2 out of 4 days I was indecisive in it. And then I was incorrect on these days. I reviewed the days that I was incorrect and why. You can see that this is probably higher time frame narrative and market criteria did not agree. Indecisive days, and then arrive at a conclusion. Did not fill this out. Indecisive days and correct days, just getting a comparison of the two, and then a performance review. So for the performance review, I'm just simply noting what was my biggest losing playbook, my best performing playbook, which this week was not available, the best versus worst trade this week, the best versus worst day this week, and then after that, execution. I like to review my entries, my exits, my risk and stop management, and my targets. So I'm just going through here and I'm highlighting all the important takeaways that I should know from this week that I could use to build off of and become better. And then, of course, emotional situations influential on making mistakes. Well, I led myself down the road of hope, leading to a large loss. My mental state began to collapse. Strengths and weaknesses, all the mistakes that I made this week, strengths. And then at the end of the review, I'm going to do an overview. So how did I hold myself back that week? And this is how I held myself back that week. So how did I grow this week? The biggest lessons from this week. What are actionable steps I can take to get better and fix the problem? So this is simply the template that I'm completing at the end of each week to get me an idea of what's going on. So let's jump straight to the overview and talk about how I held myself back this week. So after completing the weekly review, this is the conclusion that I arrived at. I'm obsessing over high R trades and catching the full swing, which is influencing me to not take profit when I'm up a lot and trying to keep the risk as minimal as possible. Trades are coming back on me to stop me out, and I'm getting knocked out of solid subs prematurely. I am more worried about being right and having a crazy risk to reward ratio than actually making money, and it's costing me profitability. Number 2, I continue to lack conviction in the market approach that I frame, leading to days where I use a split approach or days where I submit to one idea but I feel the possibility of the other. Either way, my market approach or plan is still holding me back a lot. I know my best days come when I am confident in one idea, but I have not been able to do that at all recently. The skill gap is there. And number 3, this week, I was weighed down mentally by the decision to get an apartment or move back home. I couldn't feel which choice I should go with, so I sat in a state of indecision that consumed everything. I got knocked off my regime. I couldn't do anything, literally. I could feel my mental state declining and how absorbed I was by this decision because everything the market did frustrated me and I lacked energy. This decision was so heavy it sucked the energy out of me. So 3 reasons why I believe I held myself back this week. Now, number 1, obsessing over high R trades trying to catch the full swing. Some of you guys mentioned this in the comments, and I believe this is definitely to be true. I think that if I made a small tweak of just scaling down and risk, instead of trading the mini, trade micros, use maybe 2 or 3 contracts, and implement a partial profit taking system, and focus on securing equity, as ICT teaches, are you worried about being right or are you worried about making money? Right now, I think I'm more worried about being right and having the market deliver exactly what I want it to give me than actually trying to make money from the market. Because when I take a trade, I'm aiming for the full swing. I'm aiming for the level that I have conviction in what the market should deliver, but it's not going to get there every single time. There's going to be human error involved. So if we go to Tuesday, we can check on this trade right here. This is my largest loss this week. And I was up over 80 handles at one point. So how do I let an 80-point winner turn into my largest losing trade this entire week? This is huge. And I did the same thing last Friday. If we go to last Friday as well, if we go to trade 2, you can see that from the running P&L, I was up $1,200. What happened? It turned into a losing trade. Now if we go to Tuesday, the second trade on Tuesday, I was up $1,400 in this trade, turned into a losing trade. So why is that? Why am I letting this happen? Well, my bias, my market approach on the day was incorrect, right? You can see that from my tag right here. My approach on the day was incorrect, but I didn't have to be correct about it because I still found a sell setup that yielded $1,400, but I pulled nothing out of it and let that become a losing trade. So this is what I'm talking about when I mean I'm more focused or more worried about being right than actually making money. Because I'm aiming for the full swing that I think the market should give me based on my market approach and based on the narrative I established, but it doesn't do that. But it doesn't have to do that because it affords enough range for me to pull equity out of the trade. Why am I not pulling equity out of the trade? Because I want it to deliver the level that I'm pretty confident in. And so this turned into a losing trade. So the stop loss, or the target, I fucked this trade targeting PDL when the draw on liquidity in my plan delivered perfectly. So I was actually aiming, if we go to the attachments, and I'm doing this for every trade. I got a trading review template. Why did I take this setup? Mistakes, the good, review, lessons. And I'm annotating the trade from the weekly all the way down to the 1 minute and really extracting the lesson from that trade. So you can see I sell short this gap, right? And my draw on liquidity that I established that day with a new day opening gap in the previous day settlement. So if we go to the daily journal, and you can see how my systems are extremely efficient. I mean, I can just go back and forth between each day. I can go back and forth between the trade note and the daily journal, figure out, okay, this is why I messed up on this trade, and what was I thinking for that day. You see how, I mean, it's just beautiful. These are the systems that I've designed. And then I can go back on the screenshots and know exactly what I was thinking on the weekly time frame, right? All the way down to the 1 minute. So I'm able to clearly pinpoint exactly where I'm going wrong. Now I just have to take the action to fix those mistakes, and that's it. So if you go to the daily journal, my draw on liquidity was the new day opening gap paired with the previous day settlement and session liquidity. And you can see that the market delivered that. So why am I not getting out there? Well, because I wanted more. I wanted more from the trade. And I thought that if my narrative were to be correct, it should deliver Monday daily low, if you can see it annotated down there. But it never got back down there and reversed. So I didn't have to be right about the narrative in this session in order for me to make money. I still took a short. That still was good. It was good for a lot of points. I forgot how to do this, but I'm pretty sure this tells you like how much you were up in the trade. Or the highest point the trade went to, 23,622. So I sold, or the lowest point, that's what I'll be focused on. So I sold short at 23,711, 23,714.25. Okay, this is probably messed up, or maybe I just don't know how to read it. Anyways, you get the gist, right? You know where I went wrong here. Just holding on for the full swing, and that led to a loss. Now, the first losing trade on Tuesday was simply because I executed at the right time for the market criteria present, which taught me a lot, because I was going into this day looking for my bearish premium gap opening setup, which typically happens right at the open. But in order for the market to set this up, it has to open at or extremely close to the high of day. And we can see that it didn't do that here. Basically opened kind of in the middle of the pre-market range, right? So it opened right here. And you can see that I was annotating in hindsight, this is not negative PGO criteria, because it opened, because it made a high here pre-market and then began to rebalance that. And that rebalance of that is what's going to allow the market to drop down and then reverse higher. So I was looking for the market to open near the high of day when I created in my pre-market plan, trade up and then reverse. But it made the high of day, made a retracement, drop down, and then reverse. So not what I want to see for my bearish premium gap opening setup. And when that happens, when I'm looking for a bearish premium gap opening setup, I'm typically executing at 9:30. But the market's at or near the high of day. In this case, we opened kind of in the middle of the range. So the lesson learned here was, for each playbook, there's a different style of execution and timing, mostly revolving around the location of where the market opens. Because price opened in the middle of the range, selling short at the open does not make sense. And so that's one of the biggest lessons that I learned from this weekly review. If we go to the notebook, if we go to lessons learned, where are my lessons learned? Where are they? I hope I didn't delete that. Hold on. Am I just not seeing it? Performance review, execution, entries, exits, risk, targets. I had a whole section where I annotated my biggest lessons that I learned. Okay, here we go. Here it is. And it's not here. Oh, I think I put it right here. Here it is. Entries. Key lesson around, this is where I put that lesson. Key lesson around 9:30 executions and market timing. It has to be the right market criteria for me to execute in the first 10 minutes of market open. Price has to open at or near the high or low of day. If it doesn't do that and opens in the middle of the range, I know the move is coming later in the session. This led to a loss, number 1, on Tuesday. Okay? So now we know what we did wrong on Tuesday. Let's talk about Wednesday. Now, Wednesday, start from the daily note. The narrative that I actually established on Wednesday was almost perfect. But I lacked conviction in that idea, so I used the split approach. Here I'm looking to be a buyer, here I'm looking to be a seller. Be better to explain behind screenshots, wouldn't it? Let's go. So, basically my market approach for Wednesday was, if the market opened and dropped down and cleared the sell side, then I wanted to buy it. But if it opened and traded up first, then I want to sell it, targeting new day opening gap and previous day settlement based on the higher time frame narrative. Now what it did was it opened and traded up first. So that tells me automatically I want to be a seller. That's what led to my first short, which was good. It was perfect. It was a beautiful trade if I'm being real. I sold short this down candle. I'm noting how the market drove above. See, this 5-minute candle closed with that premium wick, which tells me I can look to be a short seller on a drive above that candle's wick, because this is a sign of weakness. I just need confirmation on the 1 minute to confirm that the market is failing on a drive above that high, and I get that here. This candle trades up, but it closed below it on the 1 minute, and the following candle is a large down candle like that. Boom. We have this up candle here, another large down candle comes in, and at this point, the sell to me is clearly confirmed. I don't think there's any reason that the market should want to come back up here. It should make a run against all this low resistance sell side here. So I sell the up candle with a stop loss above the up candle, and I get stopped out prematurely, and then it rolls lower. Which leads me to one of my other biggest lessons this week. Under the category of riskless stop management, high resistance condition protocol, stop should not be framed around 10 handles in high resistance condition. I run the risk of getting stopped out prematurely. The reason I did this could be obsession over high risk reward ratio. And I remember framing the trade on the setup. I could literally pull up that session video too. Wednesday was 13th, I believe. Yes, it was. Framing the risk on that setup. See, here's the original trade that I was willing to take, but because the down candle did not close over the open price of that, I didn't actually sell short there. Once I had this, I knew for a fact this is going to go lower. So I framed the risk here, stop loss above the order block, and this gives me like a crazy like 6R. And I feel like I'm just obsessing over high risk reward ratios and far targets and full swings, that it's stealing profitability away from me, because I have a lot of setups that are getting spoiled. A lot of good solid setups are getting spoiled simply because I'm focused on like a crazy R and catching the full swing and being right. And those things are kind of robbing me, stealing me of profitability. So you can see I framed the risk there, right? And I'm like, oh my God, 6R, nice. And then what happens? Market comes back, stops me out prematurely. And because it stopped me out prematurely and because I was indecisive in my market approach, now I'm looking for the long idea that I established on Wednesday. So if we go to Wednesday, we can see that my main idea is to be a seller, right? But then I also have this alternate idea if price drops first initially. So although the market was delivering that sell idea that I established, my bearish premium gap opening setup perfectly, because I was kind of indecisive in it, and I established the buy idea, instead of looking to get on side with that, in the second trade, I ended up taking a long. Right here. So I saw this, I saw the large displacement lower, I saw this up candle, I got overlapped. I thought to sell that short, and if I go back to the recording, you can see that I was framing the risk there as well. And I don't take it, because instead of taking it, now I'm thinking, okay, you know what, maybe my long idea could play out, because the market left these highs relatively equal, and then it dropped lower, and now it's taking that pre-market sell side right here, trading underneath that. And now I think it could probably trade back up lower or higher for these highs. So then once this becomes inversed, once I see down candles become overlapped, I buy that and I get stopped out. So obviously my best sessions come when I have conviction of one idea. That's it. That's it. That's all it takes. I'm struggling to do that though. I'm struggling to just be like, okay, I'm extremely confident in this happening, and that's all I'm looking for. But those are the days where I trade the best, but they're extremely, extremely infrequent and rare. So what does that tell me? Tells me I just need more market experience with my model, with establishing the higher time frame narrative and getting good at that. That's what I believe. That's what I think I should be working on. So what does that mean? Gotta hit the back testing. Gotta hit the back testing more. And then if we review Thursday, not a terrible session. But what was the main mistake from Thursday? I've extracted the main mistake from each and every trading day, and I'm explaining it to you right now, because I've done the work of following through with my weekly review process. So if we remember Tuesday, the biggest mistake here was having a large losing trade turn into having a large winning trade turn into a losing trade, because I was worried about being right and just having the full swing deliver. On Wednesday, I had a really, really good sell idea, but I wasn't extremely confident in it, so I framed that split approach where I'm looking to be a buyer if this happens and a seller if that happens. Because I stopped out prematurely, framing my risk too tight in high resistance conditions, instead of looking to get on side with the move, I looked for my buy idea that I established in my market approach. Now Thursday, the problem with Thursday was I had a long idea, it was very clear, supported by market and narrative, but how I was looking for that to play out wasn't exactly what the market delivered. I wanted to make a lower low than that of the pre-market low, but it didn't do that. So if you go to the chart on Thursday, I wanted to get dropped down, take the pre-market low, and then go for the range high. But at the same time, I saw the large down candle laid on PPI, and I thought that I felt I should be bearish on the day, but I knew the higher time frame narrative was clearly bullish. So if we go to the daily note, we can see that I'm looking for a range play, right? But the alternate idea is I feel I intuitively know this is not bullish. Fuck. So I'm framing the bullish narrative and the bullish idea, but at the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm like, dude, is this today going to be bearish? I don't fucking know. It's like, fuck. So because I was expecting the market to drop lower and take that pre-market low, and it didn't do that, and it traded away from it first and left all this smooth in here. I thought the market was going to trade up, rebalance this, and then break lower from that, which led to this impulsive short sell. Now I had a limit order on first presentation that would have got filled, targeting the consequent encroachment of this gap. If I pull up the session recording, I got all the receipts. Everything is recorded. Everything is systematic. I'm not missing a beat. I've got everything recorded. So what's the issue, man? What's the issue? Why are you not profitable yet? So 23.89650 was my buy limit order, and that would have got filled. That would have got tagged in, and I was targeting. You can see where my target was, the consequent encroachment of that gap, because I'm thinking about how far can it go beyond the overnight range high, at least the consequent encroachment of that gap, right? And we can see that that move actually ended up delivering. My entry would have got tagged in here, delivered that beautifully. But because I had that sell idea on the back of my mind, the market trades up, primes is high, suddenly breaks lower. It closed back inside the opening range gap on the 5-minute, which to me is a sign of weakness. And I thought it could draw for these lows down here once it did that. So I sold short the immediate rebalance. So this is a large down candle, but the following trades up and touches that candle's low perfectly. Sold short that with the stop loss above it, because if the market was really bearish, it would not go back up to that candle's high. It would just break lower. And I targeted these lows down here. That did not play out. So you can see how the indecision in my market approach is kind of leading to all these mistakes on Wednesday and Thursday now, right? This is a quick review of Thursday. And if we go to Friday, what happened Friday? Friday, basically, I was bullish on the day. My bullish bias was simply incorrect. Why was my bullish bias incorrect on Friday? So this weekly range, the development of this week's range was kind of similar to, if we go to 15, I think this makes sense on the hourly. If we go to an hourly chart, we can see that this is Tuesday's range, right? Monday trades down, Tuesday makes an impulse swing, Wednesday rebalances that, Thursday takes Wednesday's low, trades into the gap, but it fails to sustain a rally off of that. Now this is kind of similar to what happened last week, so I was expecting Friday to trade, and how Thursday's candle close, kind of indecisive. If we go to the daily, shit, I don't have the daily on here. I missed the daily. Let's just go here. See, Thursday's candle closed like that, right? So this tells me the market's kind of not really sure of where it wants to go next. I think it's kind of more of like in a consolidation. If we look at Friday and we look at the higher time frame narrative, it appears the market's falling into consolidation. So weekly range is probably going to close similar to what it looks like right now. This means I'm not expecting a drop below overnight low to last, supported by the development of the weekly range in yesterday's settlement. So the higher time frame is there. The higher time frame narrative is there. If you go back to the hourly. Now, why this was incorrect is because we have this protraction in the London session. Large down candle leaves that gap. If we look at the 4-hour too, you can see that we have these large down candles that overlap these up candles. So you can anticipate the market trade up into those up candles and fail, trade lower. It targeted Thursday daily lows. So my bullish bias was simply incorrect. Felt like I intuitively knew to be a short seller on this day too, but I went ahead and stuck to the bullish bias simply because I thought that was how the weekly range was going to develop. Now, the thing is I didn't do anything on Friday, which I think was probably the best move because the market conditions were extremely rough. If we go to the close, right? This is just me framing the best possible setup for that day. See, the conditions was very slow, very back and forth. Now, I tried to get a long in here, but I missed my fill. Where I was going to execute at the market when I saw the news driver trade down, made an SMT with S&P, and then I was going to get a market order fill long up in here with the stop loss, probably below the consequent encroachment of this wick, and target these highs. And never got up there, so would have never delivered anyways. But I was just simply incorrect on the bias. So, it's a quick rundown of each and every trading day. Let's go back to the session recap. So the biggest lessons from this week, I think this should be somewhere else, to be honest. Because these are also really good lessons from this week. So this is my weekly review system. As you can tell from the data collection process that I have, I'm able to go back and reflect on exactly where I went right, exactly where I went wrong, on each session. And that's it. So what am I going to do moving forward? What are actionable steps I can take to get better and fix the problems that I have? Well, I think I've received a plan to simply continue with what I've been doing and get back in touch with my model. Slowly over time, I feel like as I've dropped the basic principles of the model or simply forgot about some criteria, now it feels like I'm doing things a bit differently. So it kind of feels like I'm changing the model a bit right now. And things that I was focusing on when I started developing this model, I'm not really looking at right now. Either that's because the model is evolving for the better, or maybe I'm just making things a bit too complicated and I'm just doing things differently. So once I complete the price action log that I'm working on, I'm going to study and define the model. Then I'm going to apply Umar Ashraf method of collecting data, executing on it in practice. So this is this daily price action log system that I'm trying to complete. It's like once I fill this out, then I have all my playbooks in here, and I have multiple examples of every playbook on what day of week, with what higher time frame narrative, what was the draw on liquidity, what was the market criteria, what was the point of interest where the reversal occurred. So I'm tracking all these different variables, and then eventually I will have a very good idea of exactly what that model is going to look like. So I'm going to complete this and have 100 days of collected data, I believe, at the point 95. I still have like 40 that I need to fill in. Once I fill them in, I'm going to go through for each playbook, each individual playbook, look at all these things that I'm tracking, and then define that playbook. This is what it is, boom. And then I'm going to go back through and back test 3 years of data, probably executing on one of these playbooks at a time, just going through the 3 years of data and finding every instance of that and executing on it. And did it play out? Why did it play out? And did it not play out? Why did it not play out? And then besides that, this coming week, I'm going to 100% dial risk back, trade micros, and implement a partial profit taking system. I'm going to try this. This will give me the flexibility to lock in equity and stop worrying about catching the full swing, because I took some solid setups this week that I killed because I'm so focused on the crazy risk reward ratio and being right more than making money. I think this is definitely holding me back right here because I'm finding solid setups. I am. I may not be extremely confident in my market approach, but I'm still able to find solid setups that work. But I'm just not pulling equity out of the market. And all I really need is 2 solid setups a week. And that's it. And I had 2 solid setups this week. So I should have been profitable this week because they were there. They were messed up or spoiled because I'm so focused on the crazy risk reward ratio and being right more than making money. And also, I still lack confidence in my market approach and the setups I am taking. I believe I still lack experience with the model. Translation of the model into real-time execution is where I lack hard. So I just need more experience, more studying. Just keep working on it. This is where I'm at right now. So you guys know everything. This is raw, real talk. This is me reviewing a week of my trading and getting ready for the next week and how I'm going to get better. Now I'm in a completely new environment and a new situation with less pressure on me. So let's see how it goes. You know what I'm talking about? So the community is almost growing to 1,000 subscribers, and I appreciate each and every single one of you for supporting the channel. If we take a look at it real quick. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. 970 subscribers, so we're growing very, very fast. 1,000 subscribers soon. If we touch 1,000 subscribers, then I'm gonna do like some kind of special or something. But this is crazy, man. This is actually crazy. There's a lot of you guys supporting me in the comments. I truly appreciate it, sincerely appreciate it. And I'm back at home now, and the environment is different. I kind of like don't want people to hear me while I'm making these videos, so I might be like a little bit less enthusiastic. But I'm still being myself, and I'm just sitting here explaining what's going on, and that's it. And that's just the raw truth. So I'm just gonna keep doing that. I'm just keep cranking out these videos. I'm gonna try to get videos out daily. If you're still watching this now after half an hour, then you are a true supporter of me, and I really appreciate that. And you're probably subscribed to the channel. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. This channel really keeps me motivated. I mean, this is what keeps me going. Like, I'm like, wow, this shit's actually growing. I'm cultivating a community. Like, shit's growing fast. I got a lot of people supporting me in the comments. It's great. It's great. It's going, man. It's going. And I'm really happy about that. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the work that I'm consistently putting into this channel and the feedback that I'm also consistently getting from you guys. So it's just awesome. I'm going to keep putting out content as much as I can. And I think that's going to be it for this one. So I definitely hit a low mentally. But I'm rebounding. I'm finding out where I'm going wrong, where I need to go right, and we're going to continue growing. Evolution, self-evolution is perpetual. It never ends, and it's an ebb and a flow. You go down and you go up. So I do a lot of talking about myself. I need to do more talking about my mindset and how I think, and how I'm able to consistently grow, transmute that to you guys, and you guys can grow as well. So I think that's gonna be it for this one. I'll talk to you probably tomorrow because I'm gonna try to get a video up daily. Let's go.